Hey everyone, what's happening? Welcome to Maych TV. The season is over, so, once more onto the breach before holiday time. And it's time to talk about transfers, or it's certainly time to start talking about transfers. It looks like Ibrahima Konate is going to be a Liverpool player before long. It looks like Ozan Kabak is not going to be a Liverpool player, but I could talk about that, and I have talked about that. I chatted with Neil Jones from goal.com over on the redmentv.com. Definitely check that out if you want a bit more insight into what's been going on around that, of course. But I want to talk more right now, top line, about sort of dream signings, and some of these might be a little bit too much of a flight of fancy given the current climate and finances and whatever you might think about Liverpool's ownership group. But nevertheless, I think it's an interesting point to have now before all our hope and dreams either get exploded in a good way or torn down in a really bad way by the reality of the world. Over on the Super 6 YouTube channel, the Hold the L show took place this week, and they're talking about Harry Kane. He's one that I will be discussing, but here's a little clip from that show.
The Sierra and Akeem saying that you wouldn't suit like a false nine system. I think the reason why Kane is a striker every club's looking at is because you can kind of do anything you want with him because he's that complete and he complements so many different tactical setups, etc. And I think, when you're talking about tactical setups, I think this is where Kane can really complement working alongside a Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, go over there, drop a like, say Maych sent you in the comments, give them your thoughts on where you think Harry Kane should end up, and yeah, get involved. And I'll be back on that channel very, very soon indeed as well, so make sure you subscribe. Right, let's talk dream signings. And yes, Harry Kane is in the conversation for that. He's not my dream sign, I'll be honest. I haven't really thought about him for years, and there's lots of people who've been massive Harry Kane admirers. I'm genuinely shocked that he's only, he'll be 28 this summer. Like, how was Harry Kane only 28? He's looked 35 for his entire career, but he has been around, it seems like, forever. And yet, yeah, that's still a pretty good age. There's something about the Harry Kane signing that has very Robin van Persie to Manchester United vibes, where you might not get 5 years out of him because, look, he has had some injury problems, and they're not the kind of things that are likely to get better as he gets older. But undoubtedly, look at what he does. Look at his goal return, and particularly this season. Look at his goal and assist return, because we know how important that is for Liverpool. The front three set up the front three. Now that might change. Liverpool might be looking to move away from that tactically. The introduction of Thiago and the emergence of Curtis Jones, and what Liverpool tried to do with Keita but hasn't quite worked, is, I think, to add more goals and creativity to the midfield. Oxlade-Chamberlain being the sort of precursor to that as well, and could well be that again for us. But very much, you don't have a guy in Liverpool's front three who just scores goals. People think it's Salah, but Salah gets a very good assist return as well, season on season, and only really diminished, I think, this year by the fact that Bobby Firmino and Sadio Mane couldn't hit a barn door for most of the campaign. But no, the Harry Kane thing, I think, is a big one, and I think we've got a bit of a transfer merry-go-round in prospect, where one big move might trigger a whole cascade effect and see a couple of big signings move around Europe. For me, Harry Kane, yeah, I think he would do the business. And I think the fact that, yeah, it looks like he has learned to adapt his game, which is something that he was going to have to do. Remember Alan Shearer having to do this? He had some bad injuries and lost a yard of pace and became much more of a target man. Still had that lethal predatory finish on him, still had the ability to bag loads of goals, but also just became a bit more of a rounded footballer as well. And Harry Kane seems to have done that. He's one of the few positives to come out of the Jose Mourinho era at Tottenham Hotspur. So he's there certainly, and I think he ticks a number of boxes. I think he is homegrown. Element means it's easier for Liverpool to build a squad, of course. He's obviously going to want high wages, but he's probably not going to want Kylian Mbappe wages, who will come on too. But very high. He'll want to go into the top bracket of wage earners, certainly. And again, there's a thing of, we've brought Thiago in, who has not got loads of years on his, on the clock left. We've let Gini Wijnaldum go, probably for similar reasons. Do you want to bring another guy in who, yes, he is at the peak, but he's in the same age bracket as our existing front three? You're going to have to start to succession plan and start to plan for the future. And that's why I think there's a couple more options who maybe fit the dream category for me a little bit better, or dream / hopefully reality. First one, Jayden Sancho. Obviously been linked to English clubs for a couple of years now. He's been linked to Liverpool. Me and Chris brought him on our Football Manager game last summer during lockdown, peak lockdown time. That Football Manager Twitch streams. But there's something about Jayden Sancho which feels very Liverpool, and that being that it's his versatility to play, either side of a front three. He can play across the front three. He's got goals. He's not got a supreme amount of goals like some of the guys we're looking at, but he gets goals and assists at a very, very high level. He's got pace, adaptable. Again, he's another English player. He's an absolute world starlet, 21 years old, there or thereabouts, or certainly will be soon. I think he's the most current Liverpool signing of the players that I'm going to name. I'd be very, very excited to see him come. The issue is, and the issue remains at Liverpool, is do we need someone whose primary position is the centre forward? Now, Bobby Firmino is not going anywhere, I don't think, and I think he's still got plenty of good years left in the tank in him as well, but you might be able to facilitate. There's Diogo Jota there. Does Diogo Jota play more of a 9 for us? Does Mohamed Salah play more of a 9 for us? If you're going to get someone who's got extreme pace, who can play wide, does that mean that Mo Salah, who is still very fast, but does look to have lost maybe half a yard, and obviously he's a predatory finisher himself, do you get more goals out of Salah by putting him between the sticks? It's very much a possibility. So Sancho's on that list for me, certainly. The one from Dortmund, he's going to draw everyone's eye, of course, is Erling Haaland. He's got 41 goals in 41 games last season. It's insane. It's like someone built him in a lab. I think he is to centre forwards what Usain Bolt is to short distance sprinting. Like, it shouldn't work. It shouldn't work. That he should not be able to do the things that he does with the way. Look at him. Look at how he moves and runs and can do it. He shouldn't be that good, but he is. And in that regard, he's a perfect Liverpool player because loads of Liverpool players have a bit of that. It's a very Michael Edwards thing. Now, boy, obviously, there's no escaping the goal return. So I think he's been, everyone's eyes have been drawn to Erling Haaland because he's an absolute goal machine. But he has got a very FSG, Michael Edwards style vibe to him, whereas he looks a bit ungainly, but he gets results. Salah's a bit like that. Mané's a bit like that. Jota's a little bit like that. So he would be perfect in that regard. He's going to go on and be... you're looking at him and Mbappe, I think, potentially as the next big sort of world stars. Sancho could well be that as well, of course. Hey, Christ, could be Jota, who knows? But he's just something else. And it's the all thing. And I think the thing that, when I look at Jurgen Klopp, I look at what Liverpool have done in recent years, and we have sort of stayed away from specialists. We have, Ryan Brewster maybe could have been given a better shot, and if Ryan Brewster had been able to play wide, I think we'd have probably kept Ryan Brewster and given him more of a shot. But he's a specialist centre forward. Daniel Sturridge, a specialist centre forward. Divock Origi could do the job out wide, and he's done a very admirable job, and he's scored some important goals for Liverpool out wide. But really, he's a specialist centre forward, and it means that they just don't get the game time. Divock Origi's gotten the game time because he's actually been more adaptable than most, of course. But yeah, the concern is with your Haalands and Kanes and Mbappe, who I will talk about in a second, is that do we need that? And I think we've got an understanding of what Klopp wants from us from free. But you look back to like Robert Lewandowski, and funny, I was talking to Klopp about this not too long ago. Massive name drop, I apologise. But he was saying how he made him play as a sort of attacking mid, number 10, to get him more experience in and around, and he's benefited that. And now he's the complete centre forward. So he's not like he's against having guys who can just play who are just brilliant number 9s. So there's a possibility. Erling Haaland is the one, I think. In addition, look, for me, it's between Haaland or Mbappe. If you've got the true creme de la creme dream signings, because Mbappe is going to be, his charted course is the next ... He's going to be in the bracket of your Messis and Ronaldos, and prior to that, your Ronaldinhos and your Zidanes and your original Ronaldos. You can just see it. It's there in front of him. He's got absolutely everything you need. He's tall, he's pacey, he's strong, he's got a ridiculous eye for goal. He would improve any football side on the planet, and Liverpool have never really been in the conversation before, ever, for those kind of world stars. There's always been stumbling blocks, and that's my fear over this. I think Liverpool, in an ideal world, Klopp would adore Kylian Mbappe, but can Liverpool operate in that kind of market? And that's the big question. His wages would be far and beyond what we currently pay. He'd be the highest wage earner at the club, which comes with its own issues. Obviously, Mo Salah's contract's up for renewal. Virgil van Dijk is up for renewal, that would change Liverpool's wage structure significantly to move for someone like Mbappe. But then on the other side of things, you've got the Nike deal where Liverpool now, which is different to most kit deals, in fact almost all kit deals, get a percentage of sales as well as a flat base rate fee, which means that you get, the more you sell, the more money you make. Kylian Mbappe plus Nike is just cha-ching all over it. Added into the fact that, again, he improves the team. He can play from those wide positions if you really need him to, but he's adapting more and more through the middle, of course. He'd score you all the goals, absolutely unstoppable. And you're getting him at, what, 22 years old? He's got his best years ahead of him as well. It would take a massive gamble, and I wouldn't be putting any money or any hopes or nothing but dreams, less hopes on Liverpool moving for Kylian Mbappe. But for me, and it sounds like I never realised we've just come through 10 minutes for me to go the best up and coming centre forward, the heir apparent to the world class throne in world football, would be a dream signing for Liverpool. Sorry everyone, there you go, fucking obvious. But no, look, think about it. The possibilities are certainly there. There's certainly something there, and there was talk from Mel Reddy a few weeks back that Liverpool had been preparing a war chest for a generational signing. Will that be this summer on the back of a season without fans with major hits to revenues? I'm not so sure, but listen, it's the summer. The transfer window isn't even open yet. The ink is barely dry on the season that's just finished. If there's ever been a time to dream about signings, it is now. Enjoy it now before the crushing reality of all the horrible, boring, senseless infighting and rumours and playing, spotting and tracking and all that kind of stuff really kicks into high gear. So yeah, enjoy the random speculation and hope now. Who would be your dream signing for Liverpool this summer? Is it one of the four that I've listed there? Is there someone beyond that? Is it someone slightly more realistic? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. If you've got more from me, then please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's amazing. If you've got more about Liverpool Football Club, as mentioned, I spoke to Neil Jones of Goal.com about Ibrahim Konate, Kabak, a little bit about Yves Bissouma and other potential transfers for Liverpool. Is streaming now on our Liverpool streaming service, the redmentv.com. Go over and sign up. Loads of bonus content from Redmen, but also amazing documentaries. We've got a Jordan Henderson documentary series coming out, which is beyond anything anyone's ever done in our medium. So yeah, get involved with all that. Anyway, look, have a wonderful day. Go and check out the Whole DL show. Tell them Maych sent you, and much love to you and yours. See you all soon in a bit.